The night sky above Earth was calm. Stars shone like silver dust across the darkness, and the blue planet turned slowly beneath them. But then, without warning, the calm ended. An object appeared in orbit, massive and silent. At first, it looked like a shadow stretching across the heavens, too sharp to be natural, too large to be a ship. Its hull was black as the void itself, covered in scars that glowed faint blue, as if alive with ancient fire. Every satellite around Earth went dead in seconds. Power grids flickered, signals collapsed, and fear spread across the planet. Billions looked to the sky, watching the strange form hovering high above. Some thought it was an asteroid. Others thought it was a new human weapon. But then came the whispers. An alien warship had appeared. The Galactic Council received the first probe images minutes later. The chamber erupted in chaos as the shadowy vessel filled their screens. Delegates shouted over one another, their voices shrill with fear. What empire built this? No fleet has such designs. Why is it above Earth? The speaker slammed his clawed hand on the podium, but his voice trembled. Find out what it is. Find out who commands it. Alien fleets stationed near the Sol system scrambled into position, their cruisers and dreadnoughts rushing toward Earth. Admirals barked orders, confident that numbers would bring control. But when they neared the shadow, their weapons armed and shields raised, the warship finally stirred. Panels slid open along its sides, revealing rows of glowing cannons. Energy pulsed through its veins like lightning. The alien captains froze. Their sensors screamed, detecting power far beyond their understanding. The chamber fell into shocked silence as the warship sent its first message. Not to the fleets, not to the Council, but directly to Earth. The words were simple. Do not interfere. It is ours. The voice carried across every channel in the galaxy. Calm, steady, human gasps filled the chamber. Delegates shouted in disbelief. Impossible! Humanity cannot build such a vessel. They are primitives! But no one could deny what they had heard. The humans had claimed the alien warship as their own. On Earth, panic turned into grim silence. Governments demanded answers, but the soldiers already knew. Deep beneath mountains and oceans, hidden command centers came alive. Generals stood in front of glowing screens, their faces hard, their voices calm. They had waited for this moment. Humanity had been silent for centuries, mocked as weak, dismissed as dangerous but powerless. Yet now, as the alien warship hovered above their skies, they stood ready. The alien fleets encircled the vessel, demanding its surrender. Unknown ship, power down. Deliver control to the Council or be destroyed. For a long moment, nothing happened. Then, without firing a shot, the warship answered. A single pulse of blue light spread from its core. In an instant, every alien ship went dark. Engines failed, weapons powered down, shields collapsed. Admirals screamed in panic. Crews begged for control, but nothing worked. The fleets drifted helpless, powerless before the shadow. Back in the chamber, the delegates shook with fear. The crystalline ambassador whispered, his voice sharp like broken glass. It did not destroy them. It could have. It only showed us what it can do, the reptilian general hissed in rage. No, this is a predator's game. It is playing with its prey. The avian delegate flapped his trembling wings. And if it truly belongs to Earth, then everything we believed is a lie. Above Earth, the warship remained still, engines glowing faintly, as if waiting for something. Then its systems pulsed again. A signal burst into the void, traveling across the stars. Not words this time, coordinates. Ancient numbers, older than the Council's history, pointing to a forbidden sector long erased from maps. Probes near the edge of the galaxy flared in alarm. They detected faint movement, signals stirring in the ruins of dead worlds. The Council chamber erupted once more. What have they done? Why would the humans awaken this? What lies there? No one could answer. On Earth, people stood in silence, staring at the massive shape blotting out the night sky. Some fell to their knees in prayer. Others clenched their fists, whispering oaths. The soldiers only saluted, their eyes steady. They knew the truth. Humanity had been waiting. Humanity had been preparing. And now the galaxy would see why. As the alien fleets tried to restart their engines, new alarms screamed across every sensor. The warship turned slowly, its weapons glowing brighter, and for the first time, it aimed directly at the Council's fleet commander. The alien warship hovered above Earth, silent and massive, its shadow stretching across oceans and continents. Alien fleets floated helpless in its orbit, their engines dead, their weapons silent. A single pulse of light had humiliated them, stripping their ships of power in seconds. The vessel could have destroyed them all, but it did not. Instead it waited, watching. In the Galactic Council chamber, fear and fury clashed. Delegates shouted, claws and wings flailing, voices sharp with panic. "This is an act of war," screamed one. "The humans lied to us. They cannot be allowed to wield such a weapon." Another hissed in denial. "No, it cannot be theirs. It must belong to an older race, a forgotten empire. Humanity is too primitive to build this." But the crystalline ambassador, his voice like shards of glass, cut through the noise. Then he explained the message. "Do not interfere, it is ours. You all heard it." They claimed the ship, and the ship obeyed. The speaker, pale and trembling, tried to steady the chamber. "Even if they claim it, even if they control it, the Council will not bow to a Death World species. We are rulers of the galaxy. We will show them their place." His words sounded strong, but the doubt in his voice betrayed him. Reports poured in from Earth's surface. Human cities glowed under the alien warship's shadow, but there was no chaos. Instead of riots, there was order. Factories switched to new production, military bases activated, and armored soldiers assembled in silence. Alien spies hidden on Earth sent urgent transmissions. They are not panicking. They are preparing. The council chamber froze at the words. It was not the fear of prey. It was the calm of predators waiting for the right moment to strike. The reptilian general rose, his scaled fists pounding the podium. "They hid this from us. They waited until now to reveal their power. If we do not act, they will rise again, and this time they will not stop." His eyes burned as he turned toward the speaker. "I say we strike now. Gather every fleet, crush Earth before they awaken further." Murmurs filled the chamber. Some nodded, desperate to reclaim their pride. Others shifted uneasily, unwilling to fight what they did not understand. Before a decision could be made, alarms screamed across the chamber. Probes near Earth's orbit transmitted images. The alien warship was moving. Slowly, its engines flared, turning the colossal vessel until its weapons aligned with the fleet commander's dreadnought. Blue light pulsed along its hull, glowing brighter, ready to fire. Alien captains shouted in panic, their ships powerless to resist. The council chamber erupted with cries of terror. If it fired, the commander and his entire fleet would be ashes, but the shot never came. Instead, the warship sent a second transmission. Not words, not a warning, coordinates. Ancient numbers streamed across every screen, written in a language older than the council itself. The coordinates pointed to a place beyond mapped space, a forbidden sector erased from most records. The chamber froze. Even the most arrogant delegates fell silent. Historians whispered nervously, their feathers and scales trembling. "Those stars are cursed. Entire systems burned to ash. No one dares travel there." The crystalline ambassador spoke again, his voice brittle. "Yet the warship points us there. It does not threaten us. It guides us. Why?" The question struck every delegate. Was the vessel truly a human weapon, or was it something older, bound to their species? If it was leading them into the void, what lay there? Above Earth, the warship pulsed again, brighter than before. The alien fleets watched helplessly, their ships still barely functional. For a moment, sensors caught faint patterns glowing across the warship's hull, symbols etched deep into its armor. Not alien, not natural, human. The council's panic deepened. If the humans had built it, if they had hidden such power, then centuries of arrogance were a lie. The speaker's voice cracked as he tried to reclaim control. "No, this cannot stand. Prepare the armadas. We will take the vessel by force." But even as he spoke, fear spread among the delegates. They had seen what one pulse had done to their fleets. What would happen if the warship fired in anger? On Earth, billions stood in silence, staring at the black shape blotting out the stars. Families gathered, holding one another. Soldiers saluted in grim silence, their eyes locked on the sky. There was no panic, no disbelief, only readiness. They had been waiting for this day, and now it had come. The council chamber descended into chaos once more. Some demanded war, some demanded retreat. Others whispered of ancient legends, of wars long forgotten. And then the final alarm blared. Probes at the edge of the forbidden sector had detected movement. Not human, not council. Something else, something waking. The last probe's transmission filled the chamber with terror. From the ruins of dead worlds, enormous shapes began to rise. Ships larger than cities, eyes burning red, wings unfolding like blades. The forgotten enemy was stirring, and it was heading straight for the galaxy. The coordinates burned across every fleet's displays like a curse. They pointed to a sector long erased from maps, a cluster of dead stars at the edge of the spiral arm. Historians whispered of it in fear, calling it the place where empires had gone to die. Worlds there had been shattered, suns burned out, and silence ruled for millennia. The Council had forbidden travel there, but now the alien warship had called attention to it. And worse, sensors showed something stirring in the dark. The first scouts sent into the sector vanished. Their transmissions ended in static, as if swallowed by the void. But one probe survived long enough to send images. It showed a graveyard of systems, entire planets broken into rubble, their fragments drifting in endless rings. Moons cracked apart, suns collapsed into black dust. And in the middle of this wasteland floated a beacon. It was small compared to the destruction, but it pulsed with faint blue light, steady as a heartbeat. The alien historians gasped when they saw its markings. They were human, ancient human script, carved into the beacon like a warning. The council chamber froze as the probe translated the message. "We fought here. We bled here. We buried them here. Do not wake them," delegates whispered in disbelief. "Impossible. Humanity has never left Earth." But the crystalline ambassador shook his head, his voice ringing like glass about to break. "No, they left long ago. They fought here. And they won a war the rest of us never even remembered." More data streamed from the beacon, fragments of recordings. Images flickered of ancient human fleets, vast armadas rising from Earth, soldiers in dark armor boarding enemy ships. They fought not against aliens of flesh and bone, but against monstrous constructs, ships alive, eyes burning red, wings cutting through stars. The very same enemy now stirring again. The chamber shook with fear. The avian delegate cried out, his feathers falling in panic. "We erase this from history. We branded them dangerous, violent, unfit for the stars, yet they were the only reason we survived." The reptilian general slammed his claws against the podium. "Then we were fools. We mocked the only shield we ever had." Even as the truth spread, alarms screamed again. New signals came from the ruins. Massive shapes rose from the graveyard, tearing themselves free from centuries of silence. They were not broken wrecks. They were alive, living warships with red eyes that glowed like suns. Their wings unfolded, each movement shaking the void. Their numbers grew, dozens, then hundreds, then thousands. The council chamber dissolved into chaos. Delegates screamed, some demanding retreat, others demanding Earth be destroyed before the war spread. But their voices faded as the alien warship above Earth stirred again. Its engines roared, and its hull glowed brighter, as if answering the awakening enemy. Then, without warning, it turned and vanished into faster-than-light speed, heading straight toward the forbidden sector. Alien fleets scrambled in pursuit, but they hesitated. None wanted to follow into the ruins. None wanted to face what was stirring. But the choice was gone. The forgotten enemy had already chosen its first path, and it was not toward the council. It was toward Earth. On Earth's surface, alarms blared. Families rushed into shelters, soldiers deployed to bases, and orbital defenses came alive for the first time in centuries. Billions looked skyward as the black warship disappeared into the void, leaving its shadow behind. Some prayed, some cursed, but all understood the same truth. Humanity was at the center of this war, just as they had been long ago. In the council chamber, despair grew. The speaker's voice cracked as he shouted, "If they rise again, none of us will survive. Humanity cannot hold them. Earth will fall and then we will all burn." But the crystalline ambassador answered calmly, "And yet humanity has already held them once. Perhaps the warship returned because only they can hold them again." Silence followed his words. The truth could not be denied. Humanity, the species they had mocked, had faced this darkness before. And now the galaxy would either stand behind them or be consumed. More signals poured in. Probes captured images of enemy fleets leaving the ruins, heading into open space. Their formation was perfect, unnatural, alive. They were not wandering blindly. They had chosen their prey. Maps lit up across the chamber, showing their trajectory. The path was undeniable. Their target was Earth. The reptilian general lowered his eyes. His voice was low, heavy with fear. "This is not a war for Earth. This is a war for all of us. If Earth falls, the galaxy follows." But before the Council could even agree, the final transmission arrived. The last surviving probe caught an image so massive it silenced every voice. Rising from the center of the ruins was not just a ship, but a leviathan. Larger than moons, its body pulsed with red fire, its wings blotting out stars. It opened its eyes, and the void itself trembled. The colossal beast turned slowly, its gaze falling toward Earth. The probe shattered under its roar, but not before sending one last message across the stars. "They are awake, and they are coming." The council chamber shook with fear. The forbidden sector had spoken, and the message was clear. Humanity had fought here before. They had sealed the forgotten enemy inside the ruins, then vanished into silence. But now the enemy had awakened again, stronger, hungrier, endless. And their first target was Earth. Across the galaxy, fleets scrambled, but panic reigned. Some empires prepared to retreat, others argued for attacking Earth first, before the darkness spread. Yet none dared move too close. The mysterious warship had made one thing clear. Humanity stood at the center of this war, and humanity was no longer defenseless. In Earth's orbit, the shadow remained. The alien warship hovered silently above the blue planet, its engines pulsing faintly, its scars glowing with strange blue light. The fleets that had once mocked Earth now kept their distance, afraid of a single pulse. But then, something unexpected stirred, not in orbit but beneath the moon. Alien spies stationed in the Sol system caught the first signal. At first, it was only a faint tremor, a vibration across sensors. Then the ground split. Entire craters cracked apart, revealing massive doors buried under layers of rock and dust. Slowly they opened, releasing blinding light into the void. What came next silenced the galaxy. From the moon's hidden dockyards rose ships, hundreds at first, then thousands. Sleek black frigates, silver cruisers, carriers with glowing hangars, all lifting into orbit in perfect formation. They were not primitive, not outdated. They were advanced, sharper, faster than most alien designs. Their engines roared as they aligned around Earth, a silent wall of steel. The council chamber fell into shocked silence. "Impossible," hissed one delegate. "We watched them for centuries. They had nothing," another muttered in disbelief. "They built all of this under our eyes." The crystalline ambassador's voice rang across the chamber, sharp as truth. "No, they did not build this in panic. They built it in preparation. They always knew this day would come, and the moon was not alone." Signals erupted across the solar system. Mars, once thought a barren red desert, came alive with energy. Vast hangars buried beneath its canyons opened, releasing fleets painted in crimson and black. Jupiter's moons lit up as hidden shipyards released massive dreadnoughts, their hulls scarred as though they had been waiting for centuries. Even the icy rings of Saturn cracked apart, revealing stations that had been cloaked in silence, now awakening with power. The galaxy trembled. Humanity was not a single planet. Humanity was a system armed to the teeth, prepared in secret, while the Council mocked them as weak. Every hidden base, every forgotten dockyard, every colony came alive. Fleets poured into orbit until the Sol system shone with the glow of thousands of engines, a fortress of fire surrounding Earth. On the planet's surface, soldiers marched. They wore black armor that glowed faintly with blue light, each plate humming with hidden energy. Their helmets were sharp, their visors cold, their weapons glowing with strange cores. Some carried rifles longer than their bodies, others wore exosuits that made them giants of steel. They moved in silence, not as scattered armies, but as one machine, disciplined and deadly. Alien spies sent desperate messages to the Council. They are not scrambling. They are executing a plan. Every movement is exact. Every order is prepared. They have been waiting for this war since the last one ended. The council chamber shook with shame and fear. The avian delegate whispered, his wings drooping, "We called them violent. We called them dangerous. But they were never preparing to attack us. They were preparing to save us." The reptilian general hissed back, unwilling to admit defeat, or to enslave us after the enemy falls. Do not forget what they are, death worlders, predators born of fire. But as the delegates argued, new alarms rang. Probes near the ruins screamed warnings. The forgotten enemy had begun to move again. Their monstrous fleets poured outward, red eyes burning across the stars. Thousands of them, maybe more, cutting through the void in perfect formation. They were not drifting aimlessly. They had chosen their prey. Their course was locked on Earth. Alien admirals panicked. We cannot stop that many. Even with our fleets combined, it is hopeless. But then another signal shook the chamber. It was the mysterious warship above Earth. Its engines roared to life, brighter and louder than before, its hull glowing with strange sigils. It pulsed once, and the fleets of humanity turned with it. The message was clear. Earth was not hiding anymore. Earth was ready to fight. Billions on Earth looked up as the sky filled with ships. Families gathered in silence, children clutching parents' hands. Soldiers stood tall, saluting the warships above. There were no cheers, no cries, only quiet determination. Humanity knew what was coming, and they were not afraid. The crystalline ambassador's voice cracked as he whispered into the chamber. If Earth falls, we all fall. If they stand, perhaps we will survive. For the first time, the Council did not argue. They only watched, powerless, as the fate of the galaxy shifted into the hands of the very species they had condemned. The last probe near the ruins transmitted a single, terrifying image. A colossal enemy ship, larger than moons, larger than anything the galaxy had ever seen, rose from the shadows. Its red eyes opened like suns, its roar shaking space itself. And it was heading straight for Earth. The galaxy had seen many wars, but none like this. Humanity's hidden fleets had risen from the shadows of the Moon, Mars, and the great gas giants. The Sol system had transformed into a fortress of steel, its skies filled with thousands of warships. Yet even with this power revealed, a deeper question haunted the Galactic Council. How had humanity prepared so perfectly for a war no one else remembered? The Council historians dug into forbidden archives, searching records buried beneath centuries of lies. Fragments of truth began to surface, and when the chamber heard them, silence fell heavier than stone. Long before the Council's rise, humanity had not been confined to Earth. They had sailed the stars in an age forgotten, building colonies, forging fleets, and spreading across the void. In that era, they had faced an enemy unlike any other, the same living ships with burning red eyes now awakening once again. Humanity had fought them in the forbidden sector, sealing them in ruins with fire and sacrifice. They had won, but at a terrible cost. Entire human colonies vanished, their fleets burned, their soldiers lost forever in the dark, and then the Council had erased it. The crystalline ambassador's voice cracked as he read the fragments. The Council declared them too dangerous, too unpredictable. They feared that the same power that had saved the galaxy might one day turn upon it. So they buried the war, buried the truth, and branded humanity a threat. Not saviors, not warriors, predators to be chained. The chamber trembled with guilt and shame. Delegates looked away, their wings and claws shaking. The avian delegate whispered in grief. We mocked them as primitives. We laughed at their small fleets. But the truth was always there. They were never weak. They were waiting, but the reptilian general snarled, unwilling to yield. No, if they once had such power, they may use it against us when the war is over. Do not be fooled. Deathworlders fight for survival, yes, but survival at any cost. What if they choose to rule the galaxy afterward? His words echoed fear that many shared, but none dared admit aloud. Even as the chamber argued, the enemy's shadow spread across the void. New signals screamed from the probes. The forgotten enemy was no longer drifting from the ruins. They were marching. Their colossal flagship, larger than moons, led an endless tide of living warships. Their red eyes lit the darkness like burning suns. Their path remained unchanged. Straight toward Earth, back in orbit, humanity's fleets formed their lines. Carriers spread wide, releasing swarms of black and silver fighters. Dreadnoughts aligned in formations so precise, even alien admirals whispered in awe. Soldiers in black armor boarded dropships, preparing for boarding strikes and desperate defense. Families on Earth watched in silence, their faces pale but unyielding. The planet did not weep. It prepared. The mysterious warship hung at the center of it all. Its hull glowed brighter now, symbols etched across its surface burning with strange energy. Inside, the human commander stood before his officers, his face calm, his voice steady. They have awakened, and they will not stop. We buried them once. We will bury them again. This time, we are not alone. His words carried across every human fleet, every colony, every soldier. It was not a promise of victory. It was a call to endure. Alien fleets slowly joined behind them, though their commanders trembled with shame. For centuries they had mocked Earth, kept it under watch, whispered of extermination. Now they whispered something else. If they fall, we fall. If they stand, we live. One by one, alien warships aligned behind humanity's lines, their weapons charging, their pride surrendered. The council chamber wept in silence. Delegates who once spat curses now bowed their heads. The crystalline ambassador's voice was soft, broken. We erase their history, but they write it again, in fire and steel. The forgotten enemy roared into open space. The first wave of their ships reached the edge of the Sol system, their wings unfolding like blades, their eyes burning as they dove forward. Humanity's fleets opened fire. The sky turned into a storm of light. Blue beams tore through the first enemies, shattering them into burning fragments. Missiles streaked like falling stars. Fighters swarmed the monsters, blasting their wings, targeting their glowing cores. But the enemy did not break. For every one destroyed, 10 more surged forward. The colossal flagship roared, its wings blotting out Earth's sun. Its fire burned through human formations, its claws ripping entire dreadnoughts apart. Alien fleets scattered in panic, but the humans held the line, ships burning but unyielding. In the chamber, horror grew as the battle unfolded live across the screens. Alien rulers trembled as they watched human warships sacrifice themselves, ramming into the beasts, detonating their cores in bursts of light. Soldiers in black armor boarded the monsters, detonating charges even as they were torn apart. Humanity fought with a ferocity no other species could match. They were not fighting for glory. They were fighting for survival. The human commander's voice rang out again across every channel. This is not their final wave. This is only the beginning. His words chilled the galaxy. If this was only the start, then the true storm had yet to arrive. As the enemy's colossal flagship advanced, the mysterious warship finally moved. Its weapons glowed brighter than suns, its energy readings spiking beyond measure. The chamber froze as its systems broadcast a single warning across the stars. The first seal is broken. The void around Earth was no longer silent. It thundered with engines, weapons, and the steady pulse of fleets moving into formation. The first wave of the forgotten enemy had struck, and though many human ships were lost, the line had held. Wreckage drifted across the void, burning fragments of monsters and shattered dreadnoughts. Yet no one celebrated. Everyone knew this was only the beginning. Deep inside the mysterious warship, its core burned with blue fire. The words it had broadcast still echoed across the galaxy. The first seal is broken. No one understood what the message meant, but everyone felt the weight of it. Humanity's commanders did not explain. They simply prepared. On Earth's surface, sirens wailed as hidden bases came alive. Vast bunkers opened, releasing long convoys of armored vehicles. Railguns the size of towers rose from mountainsides, their barrels glowing with new energy. Factories shifted into full war production, sending endless streams of drones, ammunition, and supplies into orbit. Civilian cities turned into fortresses overnight. Skies above filled with defense satellites, each armed with weapons long kept secret. Billions of humans moved with precision, not panic. Families entered shelters in silence. Children saluted the warships above before stepping into bunkers. Soldiers marched into carriers, their black armor gleaming, weapons glowing with sharp blue light. Each movement was steady, controlled, as if rehearsed for generations. Humanity was not scrambling for survival. Humanity was executing a plan. Beyond Earth, the rest of the system stirred. On Mars, dust storms parted to reveal hangars buried deep beneath the red sands. Their doors opened, unleashing fleets painted crimson and black. Massive railgun platforms rose from the canyons, their barrels locking onto the void. Jupiter's moons lit with energy as long dormant colonies powered up. From Europa's frozen oceans rose carriers, while Ganymede released enormous dreadnoughts hidden beneath ice. Saturn's rings cracked apart, revealing shipyards cloaked in silence, now awakening with engines blazing. The galaxy stared in disbelief. Humanity was not a single planet. They were an armed system, prepared for centuries. In the Galactic Council chamber, panic shifted into shame. Delegates whispered among themselves. We thought them weak. We thought them broken. We erased their truth, and yet they prepared for all of us. The crystalline ambassador spoke softly, his voice trembling like shattered glass. This is not war for them. This is survival. And for us, it is salvation. But not all were convinced. The reptilian general hissed in anger. Do not be blind. If they win, they will rule. If they survive this war, no one will ever control them again. The galaxy will belong to Earth. His words rang with fear, but few dared to agree aloud. All could see the enemy surging through space. If humanity did not fight, there would be no galaxy left to rule. Alarms screamed again. The forgotten enemy advanced in greater numbers. Thousands of their ships darkened the void, their red eyes glowing like fire. The colossal beast at their center opened its maw, spewing energy that melted entire asteroids. The probes, watching at the system's edge, shattered under the blast. The human commander appeared on every fleet screen, his voice calm but sharp as a blade. The second wave is here. They will not stop. Every ship, every soldier, hold your line. If you retreat, you die. If you hesitate, you die. But if we stand together, we may live. Human fleets surged forward. Carriers released endless waves of fighters. Dreadnoughts lit the void with their beams. Destroyers darted between enemy wings, firing volleys of missiles. Alien fleets hesitated, but the commander's voice struck again. Follow our fire. Form with our line. This is not your war to lead. It is ours. And for the first time in history, alien warships obeyed humanity's command without question. The battle shook the Sol system. Enemy ships slammed into Mars orbit, tearing through human defenses, but red-painted fleets from the planet countered, forcing them back. Near Jupiter, human dreadnoughts, hidden under moons, fired colossal beams that split the enemy apart. Saturn's carriers released wave after wave of reinforcements. Even Neptune and Pluto stirred, their small colonies sending hidden weapons into the fight. The entire system had awakened. Still, the enemy pressed harder. Their numbers seemed endless. For every beast destroyed, 10 more emerged. Their roars shook senses, their claws tore through fleets. Earth itself shook as enemy fire broke through outer defenses, lighting up the skies in red. The council chamber filled with despair. They cannot hold forever. Not even Deathworlders can withstand this tide, but inside the mysterious warship, the commander stood tall, his face cold, his eyes steady. Symbols burned across the vessel's hull, glowing brighter, feeding energy into its core. Officers shouted warnings. The charge is unstable. If it fires again, it may destroy itself. The commander did not waver. If we burn, they burn with us. Earth stands, or nothing stands. The warship's weapons ignited, brighter than suns. Its spear of light pierced through the enemy's colossal flagship, tearing through its body, splitting it into fire and ruin. The beast roared, shaking entire fleets, then collapsed into burning fragments. For a heartbeat, the galaxy dared to hope. Then the sensors screamed again. New gates opened in the forbidden sector, wider than before, pouring with endless red light. Thousands, tens of thousands of enemy warships emerged, larger and darker than the last. Their eyes glowed like endless stars, their wings stretching across systems. The chamber froze as the truth sank in. What they had faced was not the main attack. It was only the beginning. The mysterious warship broadcast a second warning across the stars, its voice calm and cold. The second seal is broken, the void burned red. The second wave of the forgotten enemy had arrived, pouring from gates wider than worlds. Tens of thousands of living warships surged forward, their eyes glowing like suns, their wings blotting out the stars. The Sol system shook with battle, its skies filled with fire and ruin. Human fleets fought with fury, alien fleets followed with desperation, but the tide seemed endless. In the council chamber, despair thickened like smoke. Delegates watched as their screens filled with horror, Earth's fleets holding, burning, breaking, but never retreating. The crystalline ambassador whispered, his light dim. They fight as if they were born for this. Alone, we could not hold a single hour. The avian delegate bowed his head, feathers trembling. We mocked them. We caged them, yet they fight for us now. The reptilian general hissed with anger, but his voice shook. Yes, and if they survive, they will rule. The galaxy will belong to Earth, but without them, we have no galaxy left to rule at all. Alien fleets scattered at the edges of the battle. Without human command, they faltered, breaking formation, suffering heavy losses. Dreadnoughts screamed for help, cruisers detonated under enemy claws. Only when human ships moved to cover them did order return. The truth was undeniable. No fleet survived without humanity's shield. On the mysterious warship, the commander stood calm, his voice cutting through the chaos. Fall into line or be destroyed. We are the wall. You will fight as one, or you will burn as many. His words were not a request. They were an order. Across the stars, alien admirals clenched their jaws and obeyed. For the first time, every fleet in the galaxy moved under a single command. Human dreadnoughts formed the spearhead. Alien carriers guarded the flanks. Fighters from dozens of species swarmed beside black-armored human pilots. Precision replaced chaos. The tide slowed, if only for a moment. Reports streamed into the council chamber. Enemy advance stalled near Saturn's orbit. Human fleets pushing them back at Jupiter. Losses catastrophic, but the line holds. Delegates wept openly, some with shame, some with relief. They had mocked Earth as a threat. Now they whispered what none had ever imagined. They are our only hope. But the forgotten enemy did not falter. Their colossal ships burned brighter. Their claws tore through formations. Their roars shook entire planets. And through the flames, more gates opened. More seals broke. Humanity's fleets bled with every battle. Alien fleets shattered even under Earth's command. The war was turning into survival by the hour. The council speaker, his voice weak, finally spoke the truth no one else dared. We cannot lead this war. We cannot even fight it. Without Earth, we are already dead. He looked across the chamber, his insect eyes dim. We must give them more, not just our fleets, not just our obedience. We must surrender command. Humanity must lead the galaxy. The chamber froze. No empire had ever given its power to another. Pride, arrogance, and fear clashed in silence. But then, one by one, delegates bowed their heads. The avian folded his wings. The crystalline dimmed his glow. Even the reptilian general lowered his eyes, shame and anger battling in his heart. So be it, he hissed. Let the predators lead. Better a predator as shield than the darkness as master. And so the council spoke, their voices united for the first time in history. Across every channel, across every world, the message spread. From this moment, command of the war belongs to Earth. Humanity is the shield of the galaxy. The transmission reached the human commander. He stood in silence, his face scarred, his armor cracked, his eyes steady. His officers watched him, waiting. He did not smile. He did not boast. He simply nodded. Then it begins. Alien fleets shifted instantly. Their formations realigned to match human tactics. Weapons fired in perfect unison. For the first time, the galaxy fought not as a collection of empires, but as one army under a single banner, Earth's. The mysterious warship pulsed brighter, its energy spiking, its scars glowing with ancient fire. Symbols across its hull lit like stars, forming patterns older than the Council itself. Inside, officers gasped as readings climbed higher and higher. "Sir, its systems are activating something we've never seen." The commander's voice was calm. "Then let them see." Outside, the warship opened its hull. Hidden panels slid apart, revealing weapons that dwarfed dreadnoughts. Energy spiraled along its spine, forming a sphere of blinding blue light. Alien fleets fell silent, watching in awe. "What is it doing? Is it destroying us all?" Then the commander's voice cut across the galaxy. "This is the weapon that sealed them once, and it will seal them again." The forgotten enemy roared, sensing the danger. Their fleet surged forward, their colossal flagship leading the charge, fire burning from its maw. Thousands of enemy ships dove toward the warship, claws extended, wings burning. Humanity's fleets formed a shield wall, throwing themselves into the storm, buying seconds with blood and fire. The council chamber trembled as the screens filled with chaos. Alien rulers cried in despair, knowing what came next. Either the mysterious warship's weapon would fire, or the galaxy would fall. The warship's core reached its peak, its light brighter than suns, symbols burning like fire across its hull. And then its voice echoed across every channel, cold and final. "The third seal breaks now." The void shook as if the stars themselves were afraid. Humanity's fleets formed a wall of fire around Earth, thousands of warships standing shoulder to shoulder with alien vessels now under their command. At the center hovered the mysterious warship, its core burning brighter than a sun, its hull glowing with ancient symbols. Across every channel, its voice echoed cold and steady. "The third seal breaks now." Then the gates opened wider. From the forbidden sector poured the enemy's true armada, tens of thousands of living warships, wings sharp as blades, eyes glowing red like endless stars. At their center rose a leviathan larger than moons, its roar shaking the void, its body pulsing with fire. It was the heart of the forgotten enemy, their leader, their god of destruction. The galaxy froze in terror, but Earth did not. Human fleets surged forward, engines blazing, weapons cutting into the darkness. Dreadnoughts fired colossal beams. Carriers released endless swarms of fighters, and destroyers darted through the chaos, striking at weak points. Alien fleets followed, their weapons roaring beside Earth's, their soldiers fighting shoulder to shoulder with humans. For the first time in history, the galaxy fought as one. Still, the enemy pressed harder. For every monster destroyed, 10 more emerged. Their wings tore through fleets. Their fire melted carriers. Their claws ripped dreadnoughts apart. Mars's crimson fleets bled. Jupiter's moon dreadnoughts cracked. Saturn's carriers burned. Earth itself shook as debris rained through its skies. Humanity's line bent under the storm, but it did not break. On the mysterious warship, alarms screamed. Officers shouted warnings as the Leviathan advanced, its maw glowing with fire enough to scorch Earth itself. "If it reaches firing range, the planet is finished." But the human commander stood calm, his eyes locked on the beast. "We hold the line. We buy the charge, no matter the cost." His voice cut across every channel, and soldiers answered with silence and obedience. The galaxy watched as human ships sacrificed themselves. Frigates rammed into enemy wings, detonating in blinding bursts. Carriers burned, but released their last fighters before collapsing. Soldiers in black armor boarded living warships, detonating charges within, tearing them apart from the inside. Alien admirals trembled as they watched, whispering words they never thought they would say. No one fights like them. No one dies like them. The Leviathan roared, its fire consuming dozens of fleets, its claws shattering defenses. Yet humanity fought back with fury. The mysterious warship glowed brighter, its weapons reaching their final charge. Energy swirled into a spear of light, burning hotter than any star. The commander's voice cut across the galaxy, sharp and final. All fleets with us. Fire everything. The sky turned white. Human and alien fleets unleashed everything at once. Beams, plasma, missiles, and drones filled the void. The mysterious warship's spear fired, a torrent of energy that tore through the Leviathan's chest. The beast screamed, its roar louder than thunder, shaking galaxies. Its wings shattered, its fire sputtered, its body broke apart. The void itself seemed to rip as the monster collapsed, fragments burning into nothing. For a moment silence fell. The colossal enemy leader was gone. The red tide faltered. Smaller enemy ships scattered, their coordination broken, their roars weaker. The galaxy dared to hope. Humanity had done the impossible, but victory had a price. The battlefield was a graveyard. Thousands of human ships were gone. Alien fleets drifted in ruin, their numbers broken. The Sol system glowed with wreckage, its planet scarred. And the mysterious warship floated at the center, half its hull torn apart, its core dimming, its voice silent. Humanity had survived, but only just. In the council chamber, delegates wept openly. The crystalline ambassador's voice cracked with grief. They saved us. The ones we called monsters. The ones we erased. The avian delegate whispered with shame. We thought ourselves rulers. But without them we would be ash. Even the reptilian general bowed his head. Predators, yes, but predators who stood between us and extinction. They are the shield. The transmission from Earth reached every world. The human commander appeared on screen, his armor cracked, his face bloodied, his voice steady. The Leviathan is dead. The line holds. But hear me, the war is not over. What you saw was only one seal. Others remain. If we stand divided, we die. If we stand united, we live. Humanity will lead, but the galaxy must follow. Remember that. Across the stars, soldiers and civilians whispered the same truth. Humanity had not only fought for itself, it had fought for them all. The word spread like fire. Humanity saves. The galaxy looked to Earth not as a threat, not as a danger, but as a shield. The predators they had mocked were now the protectors they could not live without. But even as hope rose, the void whispered a darker truth. Far beyond the ruins, deeper in the forbidden sector, faint signals stirred. New gates, darker than the last, flickered open. A cold alien voice spread across the void, one word repeated like a curse. Next. Humanity had saved the galaxy once more, but the seals were not all broken. Something worse was waiting in the dark. And when it came, the galaxy would turn to Earth again.